Hey everyone, Ajith here,
And Rebecca.
and we're diving into some, well, pretty heavy stuff today. The 2025 LA fires.
Yeah, it's been, a lot to process. It feels like everyone has a connection to these fires in some way.
Absolutely. And I mean, we all saw the news, right? That those images, they were hard to shake.
Definitely. But going deeper into the research, it's the personal stories that are really hitting home.
Yeah, the kind of stuff you don't always get from those quick news bites.
Mm.
I mean, we knew it was bad, obviously. But reading through these accounts, man, the speed at which these fires just exploded.
Right. It wasn't a slow burn. A lot of these people are talking about like smelling smoke 1 minute and then boom, they're running for their lives.
Exactly. Like that story from the mom in Griffith Park. She was saying she just grabbed her kids, the dog, like one photo album.
Yeah.
Didn't even have time to close the door.
It's terrifying, to think about being in that situation, having to make those impossible decisions. What do you grab? What do you leave behind?
And it wasn't just Griffith Park, right?
Yeah.
The research you pulled together, Topanga Canyon, those hillside communities.
Yeah, and it seems like the Santa Ana wines, they just whipped these fires into a frenzy. But it wasn't just the wind, right? I mean, you were looking at the drought conditions, too.
Right. Like all that dry brush is like kindling, just waiting to go up. So you've got these perfect storm conditions, and then bam, a spark, and the whole thing explodes.
It's like I was reading this report from a fire ecologist, and she was saying that in some areas the fire was moving, like a football field a minute.
Wow. A football field a minute. That's insane. And think about the firefighters going up against it. I mean, talk about bravery, right?
Absolutely. And the accounts from some of the captains, the exhaustion, the smoke inhalation, they're talking about this eerie silence after the winds died down, how it was almost worse than the roar of the flames, just unsettling.
It must mess with you,
Yeah.
The adrenaline, the chaos, and then this sudden quiet. And it wasn't just the firefighters, right? I mean, the paramedics, the people at the evacuation centers.
Yeah, I was reading about these volunteer nurses setting up triage tents right there in the middle of all the chaos, treating burns, smoke inhalation, families who were separated in the evacuation.
Man, it really makes you realize how much we rely on each other, especially in those moments. Like that story about the elderly man in Topanga Canyon, his neighbors, they literally carried him out, stayed with him until he was safe.
It's amazing, right? Like you see the worst of humanity sometimes, but then these stories, they remind you that there's so much good too.
Yeah, they're resilient. Like even in the face of losing everything, so many of these people are talking about rebuilding, starting over. That's got to take some serious strength.
And it's not just individuals, right? I mean, look at the community response. The donations, the volunteers, these pop-up relief centers appearing overnight.
It's incredible. And I was really struck by, the role of social media in all of this. Like on one hand, it's spreading information, helping people connect, coordinate relief efforts.
Right, and getting resources to where they're needed most.
Exactly. But then there's the flip side, right? The misinformation, the rumors, the fear-mongering.
Definitely. I mean, there was this one story about a fake evacuation order that went viral, caused total chaos. It makes you think about how we navigate these platforms, how we make sure accurate information is getting through.
So much to consider. And I think, even if we weren't in the direct path of these fires, there's a lot we can learn from these experiences.
Totally. Like preparedness, for one, knowing your evacuation routes, having a plan, making sure your family's on the same page. These are things we can all do, regardless of where we live.
And thinking about our communities, right?
Yeah.
Who are the most vulnerable? How can we support them? Maybe it's checking on elderly neighbors, volunteering at a local food bank.
Absolutely. It's about strengthening those connections, building that sense of community resilience.
Yeah, realizing that we're all in this together. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining us for this, this look into the LA fires. And a huge thanks to Rebecca for helping us unpack all of this.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all of you listening, keep asking questions, keep the conversations going, and maybe, think about what you would grab if you only had minutes to evacuate.
It's a thought, isn't it?
We'll see you next time.
See ya.